Welcome and thank you so much for joining us in the third in our six-part online series of the JN Circle Catch-Up, a series of conversations on how together we can overcome the impact of the COVID-19 outbreak. I'm your host, Data Harris. There have been some interesting developments since our last conversation. The number of confirmed COVID-19 cases has now surpassed 100, and the entire parish of St. Catherine, my home parish, is under full lockdown. This means we've now moved into a totally new phase, and if you weren't doing this before, you have to take COVID-19 very, very seriously now. So beyond proper hygiene and obeying the government's orders, you also need to take planning seriously. These are difficult times, and with many Jamaicans losing their jobs due to the economic challenges created by the disease and the wider financial impact that definitely will follow, it's important that we plan for financial security. So listen, this evening's conversation is centered on the theme financial security, surviving the unknown. And we're going to travel together into a future of uncertainties. But guess what? With JN, we're going to make it out together. So this evening, for many of us, the words pension or insurance are not going to be at the top of our minds. But at this time, I'm sure you're thinking that those are words that everyone should have been paying attention to for quite some time. These savings protections against risk are very important, especially now. They're going to help us to weather this COVID storm. So to help us understand these issues this evening are Oliver Tomlinson, General Manager of JN Life Insurance, and Sharon Smith, Head of JN Bank's Insurance Premium Financing and Pensions Unit. Good evening, Oliver and Sharon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi.
All right, so Oliver, I'm going to start with you because in any health crisis or disaster, insurance, and in particular, the benefit of having life insurance certainly is very important. So as families are going to be dealing with the tragedy of losing loved ones and other eventualities, I know you know all about life insurance, and you're going to help us understand better how having the insurance can help us through a crisis such as this. So I'm going to start with you. Does my insurance policy cover something like COVID-19?
One of my favorite movies is Forrest Gump, specifically that line where Forrest says, Mama said life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get with it. And that's
Yeah.
what life is. And so if you're going to cope and overcome the uncertainties of life, then we must plan. Life insurance is exactly that. It's a tool that helps us to plan for life's eventualities. And as we are seeing now, one of life eventualities is COVID-19. And so most of insurance policy that you have now will cover you in case there is a death. And if you have a health insurance, it will cover you to go to the doctor to get treatment. And so most life insurance policies that anybody will have now will in fact cover you if any of the uncertainties of life should happen to you as a person who has life insurance.
One of the things that we're hearing more and more are people who have lifestyle illnesses, diabetes, hypertension, that they're very vulnerable in times like this, particularly when the COVID-19 is around. How does the policy help them?
Well, depends on the nature of your policy. Because if you have a life insurance policy that has a critical illness component that will cover you, allow you to get monies to go to the doctor, then you would certainly be covered. Certainly, if a loved one passes on and who has a life insurance policy, there is no doubt about whether or not that policy will pay out to the person. So regardless of what your underlying conditions are, I don't think there's any life insurance policy in the world that has COVID-19 in it. And so it covers critical illnesses and it covers death. And so you will be covered. And once you have that policy, important thing is ensure that your policy stays intact and have the serve the purpose for which it was intended, that is to provide life insurance coverage for you and or your loved ones.
Oliver, you're so correct. No one saw COVID-19 coming, you know. And Sharon, we see, and the kind of labor crisis that we're looking at right now, global unemployment has been increased by almost 25 million. We've seen the impact it's had on our tourism sector. We know hotel workers are mostly home at this moment. We're seeing the attractions, restaurants closing their operations. It's having a domino effect right across the tourism sector and other sectors. How can someone going through times as difficult as this secure something like their pension? Or should they now be relying on the pension savings to sustain them through COVID-19?
Thanks, Dahlia. In order to answer the question, though, I would like to first clarify what is meant by pension savings.
Yes.
Because in Jamaica, there are really three formal ways in which people save for their retirement or their pensionable age, which is your staff superannuation scheme, your approved retirement scheme, or your own savings account. I will deal with the first two, which is the staff superannuation and the approved retirement schemes first. And these both are available through the JN Group. The staff superannuation is the pension savings which your workplace sets up and operates. And the approved retirement scheme is one which you can independently join. They are both regulated by the Pension Superannuation Funds and Retirement Schemes Act of 2004, as well as the Income Tax Act. Under the Pensions Act, it sets out the circumstances under which you can access your money saved in these pension schemes. And the law speaks to the intention of your pension savings, which is really just the time of your life when you can no longer earn an income. And this is whether because you have reached the legal age of retirement, which is 60 or 65, or you have become too sick or disabled to work again. So unfortunately, contracting COVID-19 or losing your job because of the effect of COVID-19 does not qualify for you to receive your pension savings early, unless you are so critically ill that you're unable to work again after contracting COVID-19. So, the real thing is that you cannot touch your pension savings. As difficult as this situation is, your focus should be now on how to retain or sustain your pension savings. In terms of your third options, which I spoke to, which was your own savings, you will have no challenge in using it because it's readily available in your bank account. But the question is, should you really be doing that at this time? One of the many mistakes many of us make is to think of retirement and pension as something for old people. And therefore, we never save for it or we never start until it is too late. If you think of your own financial situation now, and I'm talking about as today, Thursday, April 16th, and during this pandemic, especially for those persons who might have been laid off temporarily, and you think about how difficult it is to survive financially. In some cases, some persons don't have monies to purchase food. Just think about this seriously. And if nothing else is remembered from this conversation, from what I'm saying today, I want persons to understand this. That if any financial discomfort or pain that you are feeling today because of not having savings, think about how that pain will be if you have to sustain it during your retirement, which can last for up to 10 years or more. At least for this pandemic, we hope it will be short-lived, which is maybe months or even a year. So it's very important that you preserve your pension savings at this time.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to you because Sharon raised something. In times like these, people may not see money coming in as they should. Many have lost their jobs. And one of the things they may be looking at is, how am I going to manage my premiums? How am I going to manage the premium payments at this time, especially if I don't have a job? What advice do you have for them?
Well, the truth is that most Jamaican life insurance companies, including JN Life Insurance, we've recognized this as a possible outcome of this COVID-19 pandemic. And so most companies are saying to their policyholders at a time like this, we're going to give you a longer grace period, or we're going to suspend the lapsing of policies so that your coverage will remain intact, and to help you get over this, because these are not ordinary times. So we understand that persons are going to be faced with situations that is not normal. And so we have to also reach out and recognize that and say to the customers, say to our policyholders, say to our loyal members that listen, during this time, if you're having a problem, come in and talk with us. The important thing is to allow your insurance advisor to know what is happening with you. Because the absence of that, they will assume that you're just not paying your premiums and you're not interested in the policy anymore. But the minute you reach out, you're going to be able to work out something with your insurance company. And your insurance company will say, okay, I'm giving you a longer grace period that will allow the policy to stay intact, in force, so that if anything happens to you during that time, you will be able to claim on the life insurance company. Because contrary to what a lot of people think, the main reason a life insurance company exists is to pay claims. And if we are not paying claims, then we are not serving the purpose for which we were created. And so it is our intention at all times to ensure that we keep our members covered so that we can provide the necessary assistance in case they fall into unfortunate circumstances.
Sharon, in the case of pensions, what happens if my employer contributes to my pension and then Sharon? I'm going to repeat it. I'm not sure if you heard me. I was saying we were talking about premium, the policy premium payments.
Okay.
And now I'm talking about pension, because it's possible that if my employer is contributing, it may or may not be affected at this time, right?
Yeah, your employer contribution is usually a percentage of what you earn. So therefore, if you are earning less, then the amount the employer contribute will be less. And in making the decision to retain your services now and to pay you, your employer, once he or she was making a pension contribution for you, will still be obligated to make this payment.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What happens to the Jamaican economy if people choose to defer retirement savings at this time, or they choose to access what they have in savings? Because a lot of times we look at it happening to us, but what's the larger picture? What happens to the economy?
Well, unfortunately, only 10% of working Jamaicans contribute to a formal pension plan. Well, and we have established before that persons won't be able to access the monies in their pension accounts. So the real question is how the Jamaican economy will be impacted by those persons who will not be able to make contributions now because maybe they are laid off.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the pool of pension funds as at June 2019, the pool was 654.2 billion. In March 2019, it was 607.2 billion. So in 3 months between March and June, the growth, which comprised of investment yields and new contribution from persons earning, was only 47 million or 15 million per month. So given the low participation and low growth in the short term, there should be no significant impact to our economy.
Okay. Oliver, how do I know what's the best policy to purchase, particularly at this time where I've already had one? Can I come in and make adjustments? Tell me, what do I do?
Yes, and that's a very good question. And consumers have to ensure that we get the policy that is right for us. And so policies are best suited for us based on what stage we are in our lives and at what stage our financial position that is, and also our age. I always tell persons the best time to buy life insurance is when you are young, because the premiums will not increase. So every individual would have to look at their own unique circumstances and sit down with a life insurance advisor who will list out a gamut of plans that there are, and then they make the decision that is in their best interest, because each person's family situation is different. So when you are without children, for example, you might not be thinking heavily about leaving an inheritance for your child because there's no children. And so the type of policy that you would need would differ from a person who has 4 or 5 children. And similarly, if you have dependent parents, then you might want to have a family indemnity plan that will help you to take care of final expenses for your parents or your parents-in-law. So it is not, I don't want to say this is the type of policy that you have, especially we're recognizing nowadays that a lot of persons are contracting critical illnesses. And so I say to persons, hey, we never know what life is going to hand us. As Forrest Gump said, life is like a box of chocolate. You don't know what's going to happen. So I say to persons, sit down, take a good look at all the insurance policies that are types of policies that are around, and then you choose the one that best suits you and your current condition, your current situation. Don't buy policies because somebody else has it. You buy the policy because that is what is going to help you if you should fall into an unfortunate situation. And the truth is, no 2 persons will have the same experiences. So let us make sure that as responsible clients, we look for the policies that suits us. Talk to a life insurance advisor, talk to persons who have that experience and who will guide you appropriately so that the policy that you choose, not that they choose for you, that you choose will be tailored specifically for you and help you to get over life eventualities.
Oh, but you know what I like about what you said? A lot of times people look at policies and what drives the decision is what is the premium going to be, or is this what I'm going to get at the payout? But what you just said is look at it in totality. How is this going to impact my life in the long term, and who I am and what I want to achieve? And then find the policy that best suits that, and that makes sense.
That's correct. And I say to persons every now and again, you evaluate your portfolio because your conditions change. And as your conditions change, then the requirements for life insurance support will change. And as they change, you get the requisite policies that will be fitted to your particular lifestyle at this time.
Yeah. Sharon, what's your advice that you can give people on how to maintain their pension savings at this time? And I know they're different. You've named all 3. What's the advice that you have?
Well, if you're earning monies now, whether you're part of a formal pension plan or not, you should focus on saving as much as you can. During a recession, cash is king. So you should be putting aside some monies, no matter how small, it's very important. If you have children and you would be saving monies now, the children are at home. I know you might say the food bill is going up, but when you think of other expenses like your transportation or like your extra lessons, you're not paying those now. So my advice is to put some of those monies towards your retirement plan, because it's going to be very difficult. But we will have to pinch pennies and think carefully about the future. And your retirement, as I said before, is not about your age. It's about that time in your life when you can no longer earn a living.
And the time is now. Time is now to think about it. We have to plan. I want to thank you both for speaking with me this evening. Oliver Tomlinson, General Manager of JN Life Insurance, and Sharon Smith, Head of JN Banks Insurance, Premium Financing and Pensions Unit. Listen, for those of you who tuned in, if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to post them. Our team members will get in touch with you. We will be more than willing to respond to any questions that you have and to provide advice for you. And I'm going to tell you, visit the JN Group website. It's at www.jngroup.com/COVID-19 help. I'm going to do that again. www.jngroup.com/COVID-19 help. And that's how you're going to get information on how JN Group is supporting you to respond to COVID-19. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram at the JN Group. I want to thank you so much for sharing in this important session with us. Remember, JN can help you and all Jamaicans to keep safe, healthy, and to make sound decisions about your life. During these times, I couldn't make Oliver and Sharon get away without even one little question. This question is coming from Claudine Allen. It says, if I pass on, Sharon, will my pension savings go to my family? How do I ensure that it does?
One of the the things that you must do when you open a pension account, and this is regulatory requirement, you must name at least one beneficiary. So the important thing, especially in this time, we're at home, some of us, we have a little more time, just look back at the things that you have. Make sure that your pension account has the current beneficiary on it. Because once it's a current beneficiary, then you're guaranteed that that person will be the right person who will get the monies.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Claudine, for that question. Jeanette has another question. What's the minimum that you can start with?
In terms of your pension scheme,
Yeah.
the law does not set a minimum. It's really a percentage of your salaries. At Jane, we start at 5%. The maximum is 20%. So it's really what you can afford. But below 5%, if you really look at that, it's really going to take you many, many years to reach your pension goal. So we advise that you start with a minimum of 5%.
Oliver, I'm going to throw it out to you as well, because if I'm looking at an insurance policy, what's the minimum? I just start out. I'm a little youngster. What's the minimum that I can put in?
The truth is that there are three factors that influences the premium that you pay: your age, your gender, and the amount of coverage that you want. And so the younger you are, the lower the premium is going to be, and depending on the type of policy also. So you will find persons at an older age paying much more for the same coverage that a person at a younger age pays. That's why I always advise, get insurance when you are young, because it is much cheaper. And as you get older and you earn more money and you're more financially stable, then you can top up your policy, get some higher yielding policies, etc.
Yeah.
But always make sure that you get insurance when you're young, because that's when it is really, really cheap.
That's the key. Celtic Spurs catcher. Wow. If someone passes from COVID, will the life insurance be paid out?
Exactly, it will. Definitely, because the person has passed on. And that's the purpose of life insurance. So once there is a death, you're going to get your payment. And I just want to encourage persons to ensure, again, as Sharon said, so it is with life insurance. You must ensure that they are named beneficiaries and that they are current, so that if something happens to you, then these persons will be able to handle the responsibilities and handle the money that you have left for them.
That's an important thing. And I know a lot of people think about when they pass, they want to be able to not be a burden also to family members, and having the policy makes that transition so much easier. Marvin Tingley says, at present, are there any insurance schemes that cover the cost of treatment for those struck with the COVID-19?
Well, if you're talking about health insurance, yes, you will find most health insurance schemes will cover that, because it's respiratory problems persons are having, or whatever breathing problems. So yes, health insurance will cover any complications that person will develop as a result of COVID-19. Hospitalization is normally covered. And so I think that persons can rest assured the life insurance industry in Jamaica has coverage for them that will help them during this tough time.
All right. We have a question from Jennifer Brooks. If you are in one pension plan, Sharon, can you be a part of the Jane pension plan as well?
Well, unfortunately, under the current law, you can only make contributions to one pension scheme at a time. So one of the things to do is to evaluate the pension scheme that you're in, and then you can make a determination which one you want to be in. So the short answer is that you can't contribute to two, only one at a time.
Okay, so it's best to shop around and make sure you have one that suits you.
Right.
All right. D-Ray says, what about a person that is self-employed? I'm guessing I'm going to have both of you respond. Sharon, I'm starting with you.
All right. If you're self-employed, the approved retirement scheme is ideally suited to you, because it fluctuates with the amount you earn. So there's no obligation. You're not going to start out and say, okay, I'm going to decide to put on a particular sum, and then next month business was not so well, and then you're no worried. No, it's not like that. So you are you're able to adjust based on how much you're earning. So yes, self-employed persons, contract workers in particular, and we know based on how the economy is or was before COVID. A lot of persons were on contract. And so, yes, we're encouraging those persons to, yes, look seriously at your pension plan.
Yeah. Although if I'm self-employed, it means how do I work out the policy?
The truth is that one of the prerequisites for having life insurance is not to be employed. That's not a prerequisite. A prerequisite to contribute to a pension fund, you must be employed. But if you are alive, you can be a part of a pension fund, of a life insurance policy, because you could have somebody else pay the policy for you. Because in cases there are persons who the family member, the parent has retired, they are no longer employed, there's no income from that side, but the child has a family indemnity plan and is paying the premiums to cover that person's life. So employment does not impact life insurance per se.
Okay. Bartlett Berg says, what is available for contract workers? So I think what Oliver just said would have covered that. Sharon, what about contract workers?
The pension plan, the approved retirement scheme, which Jane has one, is an ideal scheme or savings account for the persons to save towards their pension, because again, the amount you contribute is based on how much you earn. So with a contract worker, one of the fears is that I might lose my job at the end of my contract. That's fine. That won't affect your pension plan. You just tell the institution, we will hold the monies, continue to invest them, and when you start working again or start your next contract, you make your contribution.
Oh, wonderful. But Team Money Nords Ford says, what is the insurance plan monthly and annual premium? That's a tricky one, Oliver, because I know there are different types, but how does it work? Give me the best response.
And as I said earlier, it depends on the policy that you have, it depends on the coverage that you want, and it depends on your age and your gender. Those are the factors that influences the premium that persons pay. But interestingly, I could say that persons have payment options. So persons could decide, I'm going to pay my premium for the year, which is paying it annually. I could pay it biannually, or I could pay it monthly. And at J Life Insurance, we have that flexibility for persons who choose to pay their premiums once per year, and it could be based on what their earnings are, or when they get their bonus, they might want to pay it for the entire year. So the options are there, and certainly at a company like J Life Insurance, we ensure that we allow you to have that flexibility as though the payment method in which you choose to use to pay your premiums.
What if I say, okay, I want to pay it annually because at this time I'm able to, but then something happens, I change employment or I become unemployed, and I say, listen, I think I can only manage to do it monthly. I can't do the big lump sum. Can I come in and get that payment plan adjusted?
Yeah, so your plan won't be your payment plan won't be adjusted, but your payment methodology is going to be changed. So you're going to be paying for the entire year, but I'm now paying it monthly. That's no problem. It doesn't interfere with the coverage that you have. It doesn't affect anything at all in terms of what the life insurance policy is offering to you. All that is happening is that you are making an adjustment to your method of payment, and that is fine. That happens all the time, and you could that's a very quick adjustment that can be made to any life insurance policy.
Awesome. I want to thank everyone for your questions. We don't mind fielding them. The ones that we haven't been able to get to this evening, don't worry. One of our team members will be in touch with you. So if you're just logging on, we will still respond to any questions that you have, even after we have come offline. Please share the videos, because I think your family members, your loved ones, your community, they need to hear a lot of what was shared this evening from Oliver and Sharon. And if they have questions, they can also put up their questions and comments, and our team members will be more than happy to respond. Thank you both, Oliver and Sharon, for speaking with us and for being so kind to respond to the questions as they came in.
Not a problem.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so once again, if you have more questions, www.jngroup.com/COVID-19 help. And that's where you're going to go for information on how JN as a group is supporting you to respond to COVID-19. Please follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, our handle is @the JN Group. Thank you once again for joining us. Listen, stay safe now. I'm coming to catch up next week, same time. We'll have another JN Circle catch up. I'm Dahlia Harris. Thanks for joining us.